The amount of money floating around the English football leagues at the minute is absolutely out of its mind. I do not know where this is coming from. I do not know how there is so much money, but it is leaving me feeling disheartened. Clubs no longer feel like a part of the community. They no longer feel like what they were built to be, a place where local people can congregate and support a local club. It's just not that way anymore, is it? You're lucky if you can afford to even go see your local club week in, week out, and there's a few reasons for that, in my opinion. Weirdly enough, it was actually Dominic Solanke going for 65 million, which made me think, wow, is Dominic Solanke really worth 65 million? I know he is to Bournemouth. I know he'll fit in well at Spurs. And then I came on to my club, Leeds United, and what's happened this transfer window? We've had to sell Archie Gray, an 18-year-old youngster who's come through the academy, whose family is born and bred in Leeds and have played for Leeds United, and he's got to go because of financial fair play reasons. I know, as a championship club, you can't really turn down a £45 million offer, but from a Leeds United perspective, he'd just signed a new contract. There was no real sign that he wanted to leave the club, but because of previous owners and coming down to the championship, due to our FFP issues, it was the best option to sell him. And I think we're seeing a huge example of this right now at Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea have got about 50 players in their squad, but they're having to sell Conor Gallagher just because he's a homegrown talent. They've already sold Mason Mount just because he was a homegrown talent. Looks like they're going to sell Trevor Chalobah just because he's a homegrown talent. And Chelsea might be an extreme example. It's very clear that the owners that have come in aren't really seeing Chelsea as a football club. They're seeing them as a business. And that's why they're signing all these young, promising players as business assets, whilst letting players who have been at the club know the club, and some of even their best performers leave in order to comply with the rules. But the problem is, those FFP rules in themselves don't make any sense and aren't fit for purpose, in my opinion. I'm really intrigued to know, if you're a football fan, let me know in the comments, do you think that the FFP rules, as they currently are good enough? The most obvious example is Manchester City, a club that have dominated English football for a number of years now, creeping up to a decade, quickly become one of the best teams in Europe. And I have no problem with new teams coming in and doing well. If anything, I want to see that. I'm a championship football fan. I want to see clubs from lower leagues and lower positions come up and do well. But 115 charges pending over them. The problem is, it doesn't matter what happens with those charges now, because they have got the rewards. They've got the trophies in the cabinet, and you're not going to go back and retrospectively take off those and award them to different teams, because even those teams wouldn't want the trophies to be handed down to them. But it's not just Manchester City in this example. Look at Leicester. Leicester City won the championship last year, only to come up to the Premier League and more than likely face a points deduction. But why weren't those deductions in place when they're at the top of the Championship, still paying players over £100,000 a week? It is an absolute disgrace. In the Championship, we've also seen it with Wolves. Wolves, a number of years ago now, absolutely bought the league. They were signed Portuguese players in the Championship. Agents were getting massive fees, and then they got in trouble a couple of years later. But what does a couple of years later do to those clubs? Maybe clubs that are doing it in a more organic fashion, bringing through youngsters, which, as I said earlier, they're going to have to sell anyway as soon as they're worth something. And then a team comes down, breaks FFP rules and goes straight back up. Or in the Premier League, teams like Arsenal, who are building a squad, Liverpool, who have built a squad without breaking FFP rules, then lose out on the league multiple years in a row to a team that will probably just end up being fined a little bit, if we're keeping it real, but may end up getting a points deduction or something more serious. I am just feeling a little bit disheartened, a little bit discouraged with how it is all going in English football at the minute. A new Sky deal for EFL clubs is fantastic, other than the fact the gap between EFL clubs and the Premier League is getting bigger and bigger every season. You see now, when clubs come up to the Premier League, it's pretty much guaranteed that they're going to get relegated the next season. Obviously, the odd one survives, but look at Luton this season, Sheffield United. This year, most people are predicting it's going to be Leicester and Southampton, maybe Ipswich that go down as well. It's a sad state of affairs when there's that much of a difference between the leagues because of money, because of the amount of money that's been pumped through the Premier League. And these Premier League clubs have become greedy and selfish. And I'm not saying it's the fans. I am not taking aim at any club's fans here. With the FA Cup replays being scrapped, that has a direct impact on lower league teams. I know you can say that there's been other financial incentives added in to kind of stop that from being an issue. But still, for a lot of these lower league teams, getting the opportunity to see a Manchester United, a Chelsea, a Liverpool, even a Aston Villa and Newcastle come to their home stadium in Morecambe, in Stevenage, in Yeovil, and play a game would not only bring them a lot of financial benefit, but it'll also, and I think this is one of the more important points, persuade youngsters to go to lower league football. And that can become a regular occurrence then, bringing in lifetime value for those clubs and making sure that we don't see more lower league clubs go bust, because we're seeing it all the time. Reading recently selling their training ground, etc., to stay alive. And the cost of this is starting to impact everyday match-going football fans, or even those that don't go to matches. Season tickets have gone up massively for practically every club in the Premier League, or in the English football pyramid in the last 10 to 15 years. I know I'm paying £800 to watch a championship club play this season. I know Leeds are one of the bigger teams. No. £800 for championship football is crazy. The cost of purchasing a shirt, most replica shirts are hitting 80, 90, even £100 at this point. And now, not only is there a home and an away shirt, there's a third shirt, there's training shirts, there's other special edition replica shirts, there's the retro shirts from back in the day. The price of being a football fan is ridiculous. And another thing which ties into this, take a guess right now in the comments how much you think it would cost to watch every televised football match in England this season. I gave you a second. It's actually just over £1,000. And that's with the current pricing. That's probably going to go up throughout the years. £1,000 to watch every televised match is truly ridiculous. Companies like Sky Sports do not care about football fans. They care about bringing in as much money as possible. And you hear it game in, game out. Sky TV is at many lower league games. Premier League teams that are certified top half finishers and don't feel like they're going to get relegated don't care so much, because it doesn't matter to them, because they're getting the majority of the money, while lower leagues and lower league fans suffer. It just is a sad state of affairs. I really want to know how many people feel like this, how many people feel the same way that I do about the amount of money in football. And I think the thing to kind of top it all off, as prices go up for fans for Sky TV, as prices go up for fans for tickets, for shirts, for everything imaginable, Premier League teams have spent £5 billion in the last 5 seasons on transfers. That's a number that I can't even comprehend. 5 billion is so much money, and that's taking away the amount that they've brought in through transfers. To me, this doesn't seem like a sustainable business model. And then as you drop further down the leagues, last season, every championship team lost money. How is it going to carry on? Everyone just wants to get to the gold mine of the Premier League, but every championship team at the minute is just losing money week in, week out. And then because of the rules set up by the Premier League, teams that come down usually go straight back up because of ridiculously high parachute payments. And this is coming from a fan of a club who currently has those parachute payments. It is unfair on other teams trying to get to the Premier League. It creates an unfair competition, and I don't know how long it will continue, because you look at clubs like Preston, Cardiff, Bristol City, they've just been dwindling in the Championship season after season, and it can't be an exciting thing for those fans to go to games, or at least not as exciting as it used to be, because the hope of going up is never going to come unless they get relegated to League One, which probably will eventually happen if they continue losing money every season in a pointless endeavour to make it to the Premier League. Just in this summer transfer window, Premier League teams have spent £1.1 billion. And can you really tell me any amazing signings? Calafiori at Arsenal, pretty solid. Solanke for 65 million is wild in my opinion. But, you know, it's not like we're bringing in these huge names. What's going on? £1 billion worth of players, and it doesn't feel that way. The money is ridiculous. Anyway, end of rant. Remember, there's going to be a lot of Championship and Premier League content on the channel this year. please do remember to like and subscribe. I appreciate anyone who's made it to this point in the video. And if you haven't already, leave a comment because you're clearly passionate about the issue. I'll be reading the comments and replying to some as well. I'm interested to hear what Premier League fans think about this in comparison to lower league fans. I feel like there'll be a big difference there. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.